Change up the things you see. Open your mind to possibility. Find your power, passion, and purpose. You know it's time for you to walk in greatness. Let's murder mediocrity. Slay your goals, live out your dream. It's right now. Inspirational perspective. Open your mind to a better life. It's time to live. Let's find your purpose now. With inspirational perspective. Let's slay your goals, let your greatness flow. With inspirational perspective.
Good morning, Chicago. You're listening to Inspirational Perspective. I'm your host, Linal Harris, your very own life coach, right here on WBON 1690 AM, the talk of Chicago. Inspirational Perspective on your radio is all about murdering mediocrity and living the best life possible. So as I ask you every Sunday morning, are you living the best life possible? And this is the place to be to explore that possibility. Well, good Sunday morning, everybody. Man, what a week. What a weekend. And here we are. Second Sunday of November. And man, I'm excited to be back. Family and I had a great vacation, and we were away last week, and so you had the opportunity to hear the fundamentals of health and well-being with Dr. Terry Mason once more. And man, I listened to it again from where I was on vacation, and I got to tell you, Dr. Terry Mason was amazing that Sunday morning in terms of what he shared regarding the pillar of health and well-being and the fundamentals of health and well-being. And I'm excited today because we're going to continue exploring the four pillars of life. And just as a review, the four pillars of life, pillar number one, and the order, by the way, doesn't necessarily talk about importance, although I do believe that we have to start with health and well-being. In terms of who we are and how we operate, just to ensure that we're taking care of ourselves so we can adequately take care of everything else. So pillar number one is health and well-being. And then pillar number two is relationships and love. And real quick on health and well-being, Dr. Terry Mason, one of the things I asked him was, what are the top three fundamentals? Okay, what are the top three fundamentals? And when I think about health and well-being, you're looking at your physical health, your overall mental dexterity, and your emotional fitness. Well, Dr. Terry Mason, for those of you who didn't get a chance to listen, you can go to YouTube and check it out. But Dr. Terry Mason continually honed in on what I would call mental dexterity, more so than physical health and emotional fitness, mental dexterity. Because for him, he wanted to make sure that we knew it's about our beliefs and our convictions when it comes down to our health and well-being. So if you didn't get a chance to check that out, make sure that you do. Pillar number two, relationships and love. That is what we'll be covering today, the fundamentals of relationship with Love McPherson, coach and relationship expert. I'm incredibly excited about today's topic. I'll go back to that in a moment. But then pillar number three is the pillar that I would say many of us spend most of our time working in, and that is work and money. The pillar of work and money. And then last but not least, the following pillar, a very important pillar, the pillar of purpose and spirituality. Purpose and spirituality. Okay, so those are the pillars. Today, we're covering relationships and love. But real quick, when I say purpose and spirituality, my mind goes to the group of individuals yesterday who I spent my day with in the virtual Discover and Live Your Purpose workshop. I want to give a very special shout out to them and the work that they did yesterday to distinguish their life's purpose. I'm excited for you guys. I'm excited about the next step in your overall journey. And once again, I just want to thank them for giving me an opportunity to live out my purpose, and do the work that I know I was put on the planet to do. Phenomenal time yesterday, and the work's not over. I'll still be supporting that group and working with that group. And so definitely looking forward to hearing more and supporting you guys more as you move forward in that very important pillar, purpose and spirituality. But let's talk a little bit before Love joins us this morning. Let's talk a little bit about this relationship and love pillar. Okay? And I'm actually getting a note. from my producer. I'm getting a note from Love McPherson that I guess the number I gave her isn't working. And so I don't know if she's calling. I don't think she called the main line. But if she is, could she call the main line, the main guest line, and we could work it out that way? Okay. So, Love, you could call 773-591-1690. We get you on that way as well. Okay. So she's going to be calling in here in a moment, and I believe my wife is on. So, honey, if you could reach out to Love and just let her know that, we can get her on. Okay. So let's talk about this pillar real quick. Relationships and love. Now, how I think about relationships and love in this pillar of relationships and love is in three different ways, and I want to share that. And this is the number here? Yep. Okay, I believe that's the one here. I'll put it in, and maybe my wife can take it down. And for those of you on Facebook, the number I'm putting in is for Love. And you all please call the regular hotline number, just to make sure that she gets on here, because the number I gave her, I guess, is a different number now. Okay. All right. So how I think about this pillar, okay, is when I think about love and relationships, there's three aspects. And when we think about relationships, the first thing that Love's going to cover in our time together is the social aspect. And we don't talk a whole lot about this social aspect, but the social aspect is incredibly important. And how we create our social life, how we take time to create our social life, incredibly important. But also the fundamentals for creating our friendships and social acquaintances. Okay, so that's number one. We'll talk about that. But then we're in November, and many of us are going to begin spending a lot more time with our families, and that familial connection. Well, there's fundamentals for navigating that relationship too, and so Love's going to be helping us think about and also sharing the fundamentals for how we navigate familial relationship, right? But that's not the only thing, right? Because when we think about relationships, one of the other critical relationships that often when we talk about relationships we don't talk about, we usually just skip right to the love life, is the relationship between the parent and the child, and really building that relationship. Both ways, whether you're the child or whether you're the parent, because some of us are grown children, right? We still have to relate to our parents. And that relationship is changing. So how do we navigate that? And what are the fundamentals that we need to be thinking about to make sure that's a strong relationship? Love's going to help us cover that as well. And then, of course, the main dish, right? Because when we do think about love, we think about our love lives. And I'm really excited to talk to Love about this, because when we think about our love lives, then there's multiple facets to that. One, for those of us who are single, right? How do I launch into a romantic relationship? And if I'm starting, by the way, whenever you're starting something, the fundamentals are incredibly important. Whether it's a sport, I don't care what it is, whether it's investing money, working, knowing the fundamentals sets you up for success. She's going to share those fundamentals for those of us who are single and looking to get into a relationship, how to set a solid foundation. But we're even going to talk about those who are in complicated situationships. I learned that from her Friday, right? Complicated situationships. We're going to talk about the fundamentals of navigating that. I can't wait for us to talk about that. That'll be in the second hour. And then we'll follow up with the fundamentals of love life for those of us who are in relationship and not married, right? That's one segment. And she was very clear with me. You can't group them all together, Linal, right? And then for those that are married. So with that, I'd love to bring Love McPherson on the line now. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Linal. I am well. How are you?
Oh, man, I'm well. I'm excited to have you on the line this morning. I see we got a little bit of resistance right in front, so I know it's going to be a good show. I always say that whenever there's some resistance, whenever something doesn't go smoothly, it's not a coincidence. It's just, it's a pushback, and we got to push into it. I know you're going to push into it on today's show.
Oh, you know it. You
yes,
know it.
Ma'am.
I got this.
So we have a lot to cover. And so let's just get this party started. And I want to start with how we navigate our social lives and our social way of being. Because I don't think that's something that we talk about often. And I know it has a tremendous impact. And after you and I talked Friday, the thing I was thinking about are some of the cliches that people share. Birds of a feather flock together. Mm-hmm. That's one, right? Another one is, look at the 5 people who are closest to you and you're an average of the sum. Mm-hmm. So this is something that we need to bring more attention to. But unfortunately, I think sometimes our social relationships are set up by default.
Yeah. My mother used to say, show me your company, I'll tell you who you are.
Woo.
And so, she said that all the time.
Okay.
And even the Bible says evil communication corrupts good manners.
Amen to that.
So, like you said, a lot of it has to do with your social relationships. And the thing about social relationships is how you maneuver your social relationships. That is actually your foundation for your love life. Because what you accept and don't accept will be an indicator of your own self-esteem and your ability or your willingness to abandon your values.
Wow.
So it all starts in your childhood, your earliest relationships, your social relationships. And so there are some specific fundamentals that we have to follow in order to be successful in that.
So what's... Go ahead.
No, what I love is a lot of times this is not a sexy word, fundamentals, right? It's not sexy necessarily.
No.
However, it's so necessary because, as I'm just studying the word fundamental, before I started, let me just study the word fundamental and realizing that the fundamentals are the foundation for which if you don't have that, the whole system will collapse.
That's right. That's right.
And so this is a central principle. So I'm like, what is it that we need to know that if you don't have this, the entire system will collapse? And so as we talk about social relationships, when we're talking about the system of social relationships collapsing, a lot of times we're talking about friendships. And friendships are very important because right now the word friendship has become watered down. Because you have so many Facebook friends and all of this stuff and followers, and that whole concept is watered down. But in actuality, that's a very important relationship because it affects so many other relationships. Did you know that divorce happens in circles? When people begin to get divorced, you'll see a lot of the statistics show their circles begin to get divorced. When people really value marriage, they will encourage others in their circles to remain married. And so it really does affect you. Even infidelity a lot of times happens in circles, your friend circles, because sometimes you can't tolerate. Why? Because friendship happens on three things, Linal. We bond on the frequency of the connection, the shared goals and values, and the relatability. Those are the three ways that we connect in friendship. That's why you will notice that some of the greatest friendships happen on college campuses. Why?
That's right.
Because you're right there on college dorms. The frequency of connection is always. We go to classes together or we meet after class, all of that. Shared goals and values. We're all trying to get out of here. We're all trying to start our career. We're all working together. Relatability. We bunch into groups in the lunchroom or in the student lounge or whatever. We bunch into groups that we feel are relatable, that will not judge us, that will confirm our beliefs, whether that is fraternity, sorority, whether it's just friendship, or whatever the case may be. Do you understand that?
I got it. And what's the third one?
That was the relatability.
Relatability. So frequency?
Yes. Shared goals and values.
Got it.
Relatability.
Wow.
That
okay,
means
got it. Yep.
You confirm what I already believe, because people don't necessarily bond so closely with people who challenge them all the time. If they look different or feel different or seem different, or you're not familiar with their race, with their type of circle, fear will arise, or whatever prejudices were planted in you about that person. So you will move towards people who confirm what you already believe.
Got it.
Because it's comfortable. So it's a comfort zone. Now, here's the thing about that. With friendship, here's the fundamentals. I'm going to give you three fundamentals. The first fundamental is categorize your friendships. Very, very important. I like to categorize friendship like the Bible categorized the people in the Old Testament, the temple. You know, the outer court, the inner court, and the Holy of Holies.
Oh, I like this. I like where this is going. I like where this is going.
Yes,
all right, let's keep going. Let's keep going.
The outer court was just everybody. You can come and stand in the yard. That's fine. That's most of your Facebook followers. That's people that you just know, because there are people that you are in friendship with that you are forced to be in friendship with. Your coworkers.
Yeah.
If it was not for a coworker, you would not ever be around them. Some of your cousins, some of your, those type of people are forced relationships.
Got you.
The other thing is the inner court was the tribe.
Well, so before you go to the inner court, the outer court, let's call the outer court your fist bump people.
Your what?
Your fist bump people.
Fist bump.
Yeah, these are the folks, you like, what's up? You just give them a little fist bump, you keep it, you kind of keep it moving. Yep, but what I hear is but they're around you. They have some level of influence.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Maybe it's what they're, wearing and, how they dress or what they drive.
Yes.
You're watching that. It has some level of influence on you. But ultimately, what I'm hearing you say is they're in the outer court.
Absolutely. And let me tell you something. At any place, at any stage, these people can move in and out.
Okay.
They're not there for life.
Okay.
Your inner court and even your Holy of Holies can end up being in the outer court.
Yeah, let me tell you, I got some folks that were in the holies of holies that, they in the outer court. They try to get back into the inner court. I'm like, nah, y'all stay on out there.
Okay. You'll be on the other side of the fence.
That's right.
And so here's the thing. So inner court, if you're going to call outer court fist bump, then the inner court is the hug. All right? That's the people that you hug.
That's right.
When you see them.
Yep.
The Holy of Holies will be the intimacy.
Got you. I like that.
Got it?
Got it.
All right.
My intimate friendships.
The intimate friendship.
The folks who know my secrets.
That don't have to be sex.
No.
Just intimate friendship.
Yeah.
Okay?
They know my secrets. They my confidants. People like that.
Yes.
Okay.
So the inner court are those people who you do want relationships. You want to maintain them. They are a connection and someone that you would prioritize time for. That they just have a place. You have reserved a space in your heart for that person. You understand? And so those people are dear to you. It can be an old college friend, because a lot of times what happens is college friendship can change and go into outer court, because after you graduate, you may not have the same experience with that person because they go off into their careers. They may get married. They may have kids, and you're still single. You're out in there, and so you have less in common, relatable.
Right.
You have less frequency. You have less goals because goals change once you have children or marriage, even in the midst of your career.
Amen.
So you understand how everything just separated, and so it can create a distance in the relationship at that point.
Got it.
It doesn't have to be somebody do bad to you, but it can be. All right.
Yeah.
So categorize your friendships: outer court, inner court, holy post. That intimacy is intimacy. That means you are vulnerable in that space. Yeah. You are able to open up your heart and share with them, and you feel safe doing so.
So, love, let me ask you this, because someone listening right now, they might be thinking to themselves, man, I don't have any friends who I would consider in the category of holy of holies, right? I mean, it's like somebody I can really open up to, somebody I can share with authentically, right? Authentically. About who I am, what I struggle with, the things I'm not proud of, right? I can share with them, no judgment. I don't have that. What would you say to that person if they want to develop that type of relationship? Because those type of relationships, they don't just happen overnight.
No.
So how does one develop that?
There's a reason why that can actually stop them from happening. Because if you want to be friends, you have to show yourself friendly. And so what ends up happening is this. If you came up into, from whatever reason in childhood, that you don't trust people, you will have a whole difficult time developing holy of holy relationships. Because it's intimacy. You will have a problem with that in a love relationship. And you will be on the surface. You'll have fear of commitment. Why? This is an internal thing. So what I would do is this. The way to create the ability to trust somebody and to develop those type of relationships, you want me to tell you the best place? Is in therapy and counseling. Because you have to open up, trust that somebody will listen, be in a safe space. While you're in that safe space, you're working towards things, and then you will begin to say, okay, maybe it is a good, you will get the feeling, you will learn the adrenaline rush of being able to speak your truth, have it be accepted, and grow.
So love, here's what I hear you saying, and I'm thinking about some of the conversations I've had with my therapist in the past, right? I mean, I'm sharing stuff that only my close friends know. But what I hear you saying is if I don't have close friends, it's really an opportunity to begin practicing that trust. Like
that's exactly what I'm saying.
If I can't tell this therapist that, who, by the way, is bound by confidentiality, then there's no way I'm going to develop really close bonds and friendships, is what I hear you saying.
Exactly. And if that's your issue, that you don't have one, the therapist will be able to tell you why and help you develop the trust that you need by working through what created your trust issues in order for you to be able to bond. Sometimes, Linal, it can just be there is an attachment, Erickson attachment theory, where when you separate a child at childbirth, there is a natural distrust for society and people, so they have hard times bonding. So you may need healing from that, where, if that mother separates too early or whatever, it creates that disconnection, and it will carry on just not only in friendship, love life, and everything.
Got it. So I'm clear there. So I know we're talking about the fundamentals of relationship in these different categories, but already I'm noticing trust float to the top of characteristics that if we want to have solid relationships, we have to have the ability to trust, is what I'm hearing you say.
You have to have the ability to trust, and you have to have the ability to discern who to trust.
Ooh. Okay. All right. Now, that's a whole, so trust.
That's why you categorize.
Yeah. So discernment is also, and I think that's a great place because, again, we're still in this category of social, right, friendships. And already we're talking, we're not even in love, like love life. But
Right.
already we're talking trust.
Yeah.
And we're talking, I mean, and again, I think likely fundamental. But then I also hear you saying that, hey, in these friendships, man, like, it's not just trust. It's not just trust.
Exactly.
It's much more than that. Okay, so
Absolutely. And I love that you're pulling out these character traits, these abilities like to trust, to discern, and then notice I also said move them up and down. Why? Because you have to have the ability to know and discern when that relationship was seasonal, and now you have changed or they have changed, which has caused a change and a different positioning.
So how does someone develop discernment? I'm curious. Is that something that we can learn? Because a lot of times we talk about discernment as a gift, right? Like that person has the gift of discernment. And often I know I have friends that as a friend I'm like, hey man, look, let me help you, okay? That's not your friend.
You know what? I'm going to take you back. I'm going to actually take you back to therapy, and I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
Because trauma distorts how you see yourself. Trauma distorts how you see others. Let me tell you something, Linal. Your son.
Yeah.
Okay, when he was a little child,
Right.
and certain people would reach for him, guess what he would do? He'd reach back.
Yeah,
When certain people would reach for him,
yeah.
he would pull back.
That's right.
And you know what you did? And your wife did? You taught him who was safe or not.
Yeah.
Sometimes you pushed them on people that you really knew wasn't that safe. I'm not saying somebody would molest them or anything, but even people that you just felt like you kind of weird, but don't be nice. Oh, say hello. You did all that stuff, right?
Hey.
Well,
now, love. I got it. You know my wife. She's not that person.
That's the truth.
Yeah,
That's the truth.
She
That's
right. No, thank you. No, excuse me. Can you step back from my son, please?
Protect your feet, please. Protect your feet.
Yeah. Yep. So no, but I get what you're saying, because sometimes
people will push because they just want to feel like, oh, he's nice. If you're trying to be nice, you're trying to not hurt the other person's feelings.
Right.
You will subconsciously teach your children to be in the presence of people who they've already immediately inside of them say, don't.
Wow.
You mess up their discernment by pushing them off on people that they don't feel comfortable with.
Wow. That's huge. So as a parent, what I hear you saying is we can actually teach our children to be in relationship or to confer with people that their spirit is telling them they shouldn't confer with.
Because their spirits are sensitive. You've read the book Blink?
Yes.
There it is.
Malcolm Gladwell.
There it is.
Yep.
We talk ourselves out of our discernment.
So love.
People will talk us out of it.
So, because one of the things we notice right now with Legend, right? There'll be a really great example. On vacation, there was a gentleman who was a waiter. Legend wasn't having it. Now, to us, he seemed like a fairly nice Legend wasn't having it, right? And we don't push it. We go, hey, sorry, man, sorry. He ain't trying to. But and what you're saying is, as parents, we need to allow that so they can begin learning how to make good decisions when it comes to who they select in their relationships. Allow that natural discernment to take place is what I hear you saying.
Allow the natural discernment, and then we as adults, even with my grandchild, there is times he comes in and just wants to hug me. However, there are other times where he's not. Guess what? I don't push myself on him to satisfy my own rejection issues. As adults, fall back. If a child doesn't want to hold you, doesn't want you touching them, fall back.
Love it. Versus forcing
the child.
Yeah, versus forcing it. Like, you're going to come to your uncle right now. Yep, I got it. All right, love. That was phenomenal. Anything else that you would share with us in this social sector, right? Because I mean, I feel like we started with the right one because we're building. In many ways, I feel like we're beginning to build the conversation around relationship in the right places because it does start off social. I mean, as human beings, we start off. My son is building social relationships with his little friends and people like that. There's certain people in the classroom he likes more than others, and that's okay, is what you're saying.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
All right, so...
It was two more that I want to give you. The first one was to categorize your friendships. The second one was to connect with people who sharpen you. And the third is give your friends the safety to tell you the truth.
Okay, hold on.
Very important fundamental.
So let's pump the brakes. Select people who...
Now, number two was connect with people who sharpen you.
Connect.
Now, if you're if you're the smartest person in your circles, you're in the wrong circles. If you're always the smartest person, because nobody is challenging you to come up higher. It's something that happens in the presence of somebody who is doing greater than you.
Got it. So love, what I hear you say now what if I'm a little insecure, and love being smarter than me in the category of love and relationship, that doesn't make me feel good. I already know what your answer is going to be, but go ahead and just let's pound it into the ground so people get how important it is. What's your answer to that?
My answer to that is, instead of competing in relationships, why don't you glean from them? Learn. You know what I'm saying? That's an inner thing that you are having to deal with your own insecurities. And so if you are insecure because somebody has mastered a situation or is good at a situation, that's going to carry over into your relationship. And Linal, if I don't see that all the time, what I see is this. I see couples sit in my chair and try to one-up each other. And all this, well, I do this and I do this and this. And I do this and this and this. But then he looks at me funny because I can't do this. No, he's not. You're jealous because this person is good with this. You're jealous because that person is good with this. But together, you all are separate. You're both wanting. Together, you make a great team. So if you start this whole jealousy and competition thing at a social thing, you will never survive a long-term love life relationship.
Wow. Okay, so then number 3 for social relationships.
Give your friends the safety to tell you the truth.
Oh.
Don't surround yourself with yes sir people. Yes sir.
So love, would you say that, and by the way, I think we both know when I say the best therapy or really good therapy, we're not talking about a licensed therapy, but would you say that some of the best therapy is in friendships when your friend tells you the truth?
The truth.
Like they just kind of say, all right now, Linal, look man, you know I love you, and bro, you got to do better. What I hear you saying is that is essential.
Yeah, absolutely. And not in a judgmental way. You don't have to come to somebody in a judgmental way. You just help them realign themselves with their goals and who they are internally. Because things can throw you off course as you're traveling. You understand?
Right.
Traveling through life.
Right.
And so all of a sudden you see yourself and you look back at yourself and say, where am I? How did I get lost here? And somebody was saying, you lost, bro. You got to get back on the track. You're not that serial cheater. This is not even what you want to be. You don't have to sit around and lie and do this. You understand? Whatever the case may be, you got to have people who tell you the truth. And so it's so important. You know where there's a huge deficit of this too is in the world of celebrities. Because even their therapists sometimes fame out. And fan out, I should say. Just fanning. And so, but you can't, even when you're working with celebrities, which I do, you cannot fan out. You have to continue to speak truth to them. Because you see so many celebrities who went down a path, and and I've always wondered, where was their circle of truth? You can look in politics and say, where's the circle of truth for that person?
Yeah. I mean, well, you can also just fire them.
You can what?
You can just fire the circle of truth. I'm making it.
Absolutely
Yeah. You can fire.
Because if you can't handle the truth,
right,
then you will fire the truth.
That's right. That's
you
right.
will disassociate with the truth. You will become offended with the truth and tell all of your friends how the truth hurt you, and defame their character, in order to be able to continue to walk in your dysfunctional behavior.
So, love, how do I develop this? How do I develop the ability to be in that difficult conversation and really feedback, right? Where the people who are my holies of holy category can actually tell me the truth and I can be with it. How do I develop that?
The first thing is, if they have brought themselves and you have categorized them, have categorized them to come to that space in your life, you have to have trust in them. You have to have seen something different from the Facebook commenters who are in the outer court. You understand?
Got you.
Whatever they said about you.
Yep.
What this person in a holy of holies said about you, the first thing you have to do is look at them and say, do they love me? Do they want my best?
Yes.
Do they want the best for me? Are they out to harm me? If those questions, you can answer them by saying, yes, they love me. Yes, they want the best for me. Yes, they are not out to harm me. If you can say that, then you need to just sit and listen to the tough stuff. You can cry through it. You can feel bad through it. Whatever it takes, but listen and decide, what am I going to do with this valuable information from a person who loves me, wants the best for me, and cares about me?
Got it. Thank you so much for that. Real quick, if you're just tuning in, you're listening to Inspirational Perspective with Linal Harris, and I have Love McPherson, relationship coach and expert, on the phone. We're talking the relationship fundamentals, the fundamentals of relationships. She just covered the fundamentals of social relationships and friendships. Phenomenal. And so if you want to catch that, you can always catch the recording on Facebook. You can also catch us live right now on Facebook, streaming here in the Xfinity Studios for WVON. Love, let's move to parenting. And the reason I want to move to parenting is because part of what I heard you just share is this notion that many of the social skills that we develop come from how we were parented. And so I feel like it's a natural kind of just, movement to kind of go into that parent-child relationship. What would you say are the fundamentals of the parent-child relationship?
So, it's very important that the parent-child relationship is very different from just overall familial relationships, the family relationships, where it's just, it can be, familial relationships are anything related by blood, marriage, or adoption, okay?
Got it.
But when we're specific about parent and child, what we want to do is, first of all, there are two things, or three things, I should say, that you want to take into consideration as you are developing a relationship with your child. And that is that it starts, first of all, before I even go into the fundamentals, that parent-child relationship starts in dating. Before you have children, what you have to do is you have to date with your epigenetics in mind.
Okay. All right. I like where you're going. So
here's what I'm saying to you. I am saying to you that your goal in life, before you even create a child to parent, is to create the healthiest DNA possible. And this is why. Because 50% of your child's DNA will come from epigenetics. That means it will come from the DNA, your trauma, your unhappiness, the things that happened to you for 3 generations. It will travel down to your child in their DNA and create their level of happiness.
Can I do this real quick for people who may not fully understand epigenetics and give them a resource real quick? So Dr. Joy DeGruy has a book called Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome, where she talks about the power of epigenetics, in particular in the African American community. And what Love is saying is basically the trauma that many of us has experienced, not just in our lifetime, but in the lifetime of our parents, the lifetime of our grandparents, the lifetime of our grandparents' ancestors, all of that passed down through slavery. That has a marker on us in terms of how we handle and how we do relationship. And so I just want to make sure people have that foundational framework around epigenetics so they can follow what you're sharing. Please continue. Please continue.
So basically what you want to do is create a healthy DNA as best as possible for your child. Since 50% of their happiness will be related to that. 40% of their happiness will be related to what they have experienced in their own childhood. This is where you come in. You have direct impact on your child's ability to be happy, which means this. What you want to do is, the fundamentals is create a healthy work-life balance. Healthy work-life balance, meaning prioritize what matters. Your work-life balance should be to invest in your future. A lot of times we are so short-sighted when it comes to family relationships and what we are trying to do and what we are trying to accomplish. We think that we are working to pay a bill or working to get a house or working to buy a car. No, you are working in order for long-term vision. You can't just do short-term vision when it comes to family. You have to handle it like a corporation. And so what ends up happening is when we talk about work-life balance, you may be working. You said, I'm working for you. I'm trying to put a roof over our head. But you have not balanced it with relationship and time spent. You will neglect the emotional part that your child needs and only focus on the financial part that your child needs. Sometimes because you lack financially and you always told yourself, I'm going to make sure my child has everything. And so that you are not working for your child all the way. You are working to feel better about your ability to overcome your deficiencies and your perceived traumas from your past. And so you got to understand, what is the real goal of this? Mom guilt is huge in this, Linal, this whole work-life balance. Mom guilt is huge because moms traditionally, when you don't have children and everybody's working and doing it works out okay. But when those kids come in, the dynamics a lot of times will be somebody is forcing somebody in a gender role, a gender-related role. Okay. And some people may not be expecting to be pushed or shoved in a strict gender-related role. Right. Now, here's the other part of that work-life balance, is if you were raised, which 60% of America is, by a single mom, and you are a son, what ends up happening is you saw a mom work,
do everything.
So what happens is when you get home from work, you are not arguing about being lazy. You are arguing about, I thought women did it all, because you didn't see the teamwork of two people working together.
Right.
So your mind does not naturally pull up that picture when it's time for you. And if that person, your spouse, is raised in a two-parent home, they're like, what is this? Or if they were working in a two-parent home where their parents were were not happy about a father that didn't do it, or they were fine with it, but you just thought dad could have participated more or mom could have participated more, whatever the case may be. So that picture of what that looks like has to be clearly defined. It has to be thought out. It has to be prepared for, and you got to live in it.
Wow. Wow. So, Love, we got to go to break in a moment, but here's what I've heard so far. And this is rich, because what I'm hearing is that the parenting process starts well before you become a parent if you want to be responsible. In terms of who you're looking, like I'll tell you, I knew, and no shade to anybody that's in an interracial relationship. But I knew based on my background and based on who I was and based on the type of life I wanted my child and my children to have, I wanted to be with a woman from my community. I knew that. I knew that. And so what I'm hearing you say is that's just not it. But also looking at, okay, and based on my trauma, based on my epigenetics, I need to be selecting someone that can support me as I support them so we can support those children.
Absolutely. And you may have bad DNA already, okay? However, then you say, is this person willing to heal their traumas, work on their traumas?
Yeah.
Because if they just going to bring in some bad DNA and they're not going to even work on it, the 40% will be tainted. Now we got a 90% chance of an unhappy child.
Wow. And then the second thing I heard you say right before we go to this break, the second thing that I heard you say is that when it comes to this parenting relationship, that again, before we get married, before we get into that relationship, we need to be thinking about how we were parented, single mom, both parents, and how that person was parented, because that's going to impact how we both parent and how we raise those children.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
You all stick with us.
When we come back, guess what? I'm going to break down the early years, teen years, and adult parent relationship in that parent-child relationship. It's important that we don't group them all together.
All right. Here we go, you guys. You do not want to change that dial. You're listening to Inspirational Perspective with Linal Harris, your very own life coach. Love McPherson. Everyone on the live line this morning. We'll be back after these messages. Wow, wow, wow.
Election Day. I'm Jaleesa Chatsman from the Black Information Network.
Let's turn that down. Hey, man, I'm going to tell you something. This right here is gold. Love McPherson always kills it every time. Every time. And I'm going to tell you right now, speaking of friends in the Holy of Holies, if you got friends in the Holy of Holies and they're not listening to this right now, wake them up. Call them, wake them up, say, hey, you need to get on the line, because Love McPherson is dropping gems and gold that you are going to need as you navigate your relationship life across the board. Social, parental, and love life. She's breaking it down. In the second hour, we're going to be going to talk more about love life, so you want to stick around for that. And you can already see how good it is, right? We talked about social life, now parental life with children, and then we're going to get to love life. If it's this good already, y'all know love life is going to be off the chain. You already know it. So, yeah, call your friends, tag them, share the stream, let them know, hey, this is a show you've got to hear. You've got to hear this show. And again, some of them might say, well, I'm tired, I'll wait till later. You heard what Love said. She was like, good friends tell the truth. Hey, you need to wake up. If anybody needs to wake up, you need to get up. You need to listen. As your friend, I'm telling you that right now. I'm telling y'all. All right? So, phenomenal first half. I'm looking forward to the second half. Real quick, what questions do you guys have? Put them in the comments. What I'll do is I'll copy them over to my notes so I can potentially ask Love those questions as follow-ups. So please let me know what questions you have. If you already put your questions in the stream, I'm not going to see it, because already we have almost 80 comments. And so please just go ahead and copy and paste your question and drop it in the stream here so I can see it right now. Because we have a short break. This gives me a chance to see whatever may pop up. Okay, so I'm just keeping it right here at the bottom. And any questions you guys have that you'd like for me to ask Love, please do. I'm probably not taking any phone calls, because, every second counts. I want Love to have as much time as possible to pour out this wisdom and to truly help us. Man, here's what I love. I love where she pointed out the one-upping relationship. That really stuck out to me, because we are different people, and we do marry someone who's different from us for a reason. And so to point out my spouse's shortcomings, you don't do this, you don't do that. Hey, you got them too. And I love how she said, focusing on that is not going to help you. Y'all came together as a team. Focus on the team effort. Man, Amazing. Amazing. All right. Any questions so far, you guys? I agree, Karen. I think today couples could benefit. I think couples could definitely benefit from premarital counseling. And let me tell you, it opens up your eyes to just a fraction of what you're going to navigate in marriage. I can tell you, as someone who's been married 5 years, going on 6, man, you think that, oh, we live together and we're in a relationship, and so I kind of got a feel for who this person is. You don't. No, you don't. I think I heard it not too long ago, is all you getting is 10%. You don't know who that person is until you married and y'all living together, and then you really don't know who that person is until you start having children. All right, then that's when you like, oh, okay, right? And you gotta have the fundamentals to work it out. You gotta have the fundamentals to work it out. And I know Pam and I are both thankful to Love for supporting us in our early years, because we needed it. We needed it. There are things that we thought we knew. I think even when, to that comment, Karen, when we were engaged, we were so in love that we would scoff at people who would say the first 2 years of marriage are tough. We'd be like, huh, you don't know who we are. You don't know how in love we are. It's amazing. We're going to be fine, right? And then came the first 2 years. We were like, hey, love, we need to come sit down again. Because it's real, right? And so that's one of the reasons I love having Love on the show. And so I see some of the questions here. Let me see here. I have grown children who are not speaking to me because I'm remarried. I remarried 6 years ago. I reached out, but they don't reach back. What can I do? Okay. And so let's take that to Love. I think that's a great question. And Tracy, I don't think you're the only person who's navigating something like that. All right, so I got that queued up here. Thanks for the question. All right, let's see if we have any other questions real quick. From Clarence, what does she think about a friendship with an ex-wife when you are starting to date again? We're going to say that for love life. We're going to say that for love life, Clarence. And so I got you here. And so I got that one down. And by the way, Love's listening, so I think she's writing down these questions, and she likely will check it out, because I see her on the stream here as well. All right, so Clarence, we got you down. That's a great question. Any other questions, you guys? This is your chance. Like I said, I'm not taking any phone calls. I'm giving Love as much airspace as she needs. I'm being really thoughtful about my questions, okay, when I jump in. So believe me, and y'all pray for us, because there's a lot of resistance. I typically, my mind is going like this, right? And I know I taught a workshop yesterday. It typically doesn't matter. My mind is sharp. I've already lost my thought twice. And so y'all pray for us, because Love is moving some things here, okay? So we're coming back.
1690,
All right.
Talk of Chicago.
If you wanna be about it, come on, let's talk about it. Change up the things you see. Open your mind to possibility. For your power, passion, and your purpose. You know it's time for you to walk in greatness. Let's murder mediocrity. Play your goals, live out your dream. Love is right now. Inspirational perspective. Open your mind to a better life. It's time to live. Let's find your purpose now. Inspirational perspective. Let's lay your goals, let your greatness flow. With inspirational perspective.
All right, we're back. You're listening to Inspirational Perspective. I'm your host, Linal Harris, your very own life coach, right here on WVON 1690 AM, the Talk of Chicago. Today's topic, relationship fundamentals. And I have Love McPherson, relationship coach and expert, on the live line with me this morning. And man, we're doubling it up. 2 coaches coming at you talking relationship. And by the way, I'm just following Love's lead this morning. She's doing most of the work. And so, Love, thank you. Thank you for being willing to get up on a Sunday morning, early on a Sunday morning, and do this type of work with us. I definitely appreciate you.
It's an absolute pleasure. You know,
Yes,
you have helped me and been in many of my events, and I really cherish your wisdom also, Linal. So
I appreciate
I love
that.
this.
I appreciate that. Love, we had a few questions. I think you saw some of the questions that came in over the break from the Facebook community. Again, if you're at home and you want to watch this streaming live here in the Xfinity Studios at WVON, you can just go to my Facebook page at Linal Harris to catch this. And of course, later this week, this episode will be on YouTube, so make sure you subscribe to the channel at Linal Harris as well. Love, why don't you tell us where people can follow you? How can people follow you as well?
You can follow me on Instagram at love_McPherson. You can follow me on Facebook, and you can't be my friend because I'm over 5,000, but you can follow me at Love McPherson. And you can go to my website at lovemcpherson.com. Everywhere I'm at, just Love McPherson.
Yeah, and one of the questions I often get is that her real name? Did she change that name? And so,
No, this is it. This is my real name, you all. I was named by this name by my mom, who named me because of my dad. I was the 6th of 8 children, and she said that my dad was so supportive, so she would have difficult pregnancies, and he was always there for her, and she put the love in there for him. So I'm a love child.
and how about that? You heal relationships and return the love as a result. That's your purpose in life.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
how fitting. I believe it's not a mistake you were named that. And thank you for bringing so much love to the space when you show up.
Such a pleasure.
All right, Love. So we were talking parent and parental relationships with their children. You broke down for us some of the fundamentals already. And I know there's a lot more, but just for those who may have missed the first hour, can you just go back and share the first 2 nuggets you gave us around parenting?
Sure.
And then let's continue.
Absolutely. The first thing is that you, as a parent with a child, you are legacy building. That's what your goal is, legacy building. So in that legacy building, you want to make sure that your epigenetics, you try to create the healthiest DNA possible for your child, and that way you're dealing with people who are dealing with their traumas. If your mate's DNA is messed up from whatever the case may be, they have a lot of traumas in their DNA, you want to select a mate that is going to work on the trauma, because 40% of your child's happiness will depend on what they've experienced here on earth. And if they are being raised by traumatized parents, then they will have more traumas on top of the epigenetic, the DNA of trauma that they have to work with. And so you want to make sure that you're doing that. You want to be planning for your senior years, planning out, not just for the here and now. The other thing is work-life balance. We talked about that. We talked about making sure that you prioritize what's important, that you not be getting involved in a lot of mom guilt or dad guilt because of what your work life and everything. You should be able to incorporate that together. The next, as we move forward, though, I did mention before the break that I wanted to talk about the early years, the teen years, and the adult parent relationship.
So let's go there.
That's very. You ready to go?
Let's go.
Okay.
Let's go.
Those early years when you first had that baby. Now, for the mother and the father, it is very, very different. This is what happens a lot of times, you all. The early years, as you're pregnant, who gets all the attention? The mother. The father, though, a lot of times is going through their own, crucial change, fears, all of these things, and nobody's really asking, how are you doing?
Yeah.
Because he's not carrying the baby.
Yeah.
And so what you will find is, during just carrying the children, that is one of the highest rates for infidelity in men, just because of their insecurities. If they didn't have a father, you are thrusting them in a role that they've never had before. It's like saying, okay, you're an astronaut now, and tomorrow we're going to the moon. What?
Yeah.
You understand?
Yep.
And so you gotta take in consideration mother and father. And once that baby is born, because literally that is the time where if you had a C-section or a regular birth or whatever, and you're still trying to recuperate and function from the trauma of labor and childbirth, somebody says, hey, forget about you. Here's a whole being who cannot do anything for themselves.
Yep.
You start taking care of them.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
forget about me.
Yeah.
I got to take care of you. So
Yep.
you can end up losing yourself in that. You can end up being resentment if you're dealing with post-traumatic, postpartum
Yep.
depression, all of those things. If you had any kind of traumas related to the physical birth of that child, all of that. So what you want to do is make sure you both are talking and caring for each other and paying attention to each other, not just the physical, but the emotional, because this is what happens. You have evolved. I'm telling you, you have evolved once you birth that child. Your entire perspective on life will change. Your entire
That's so
perspective
true.
on how you see yourself
Yep.
will change.
Yep.
And if you continue to try to live the old you, or allow people to treat you like the old you, when you are not in alignment with that, you'll have inner conflict, and then you will blame it maybe on your spouse or baby daddy, baby mama, whatever the case may be. Continue to learn yourself. Every version, master the next version of you.
Love, can I say something here?
Sure.
In terms of what you just shared is so powerful, and I just want to say something from a man's perspective to men. I remember when my wife got pregnant, and like you said, the hormonal changes, so much changes. Her body changes, right? So physically, I'm looking at a different looking woman. I thought she was gorgeous and beautiful, but then also there was a different mood, right? That I had to navigate there. And you're right, there's a lot of focus on the woman. People say, how are you? I mean, it's like, you kind of just taking her coat, everybody's on her. Let me tell you something. And I never saw this in myself until that began to happen. It is so important for us men that we have friends in the holies of holy who've experienced this that can guide us through it.
Yes.
I believe one of the reasons there's a higher rate of infidelity during that period for men is because they don't have other men who say, yo, call me when you need me.
Yes.
Reach out to me. Like, let's have that brother-to-brother conversation, and you can share all the things that, there's some things that I felt I won't even share on the show because I already know women won't understand. They'll be like, you don't even understand what's going on with her body. Blah, blah, blah. You feel that way? Look, we're all emotional creatures, and we have feelings.
That's right.
And a man has to have another man that he can lean on that gets it. Brothers.
A safe space.
Yes. Make sure that as your wife or your significant other is going through that transition, you have a place to lean. Because if not, like you said, you're going to lean in the wrong spots. So I just wanted to say that. I wanted to make sure people got it.
And make sure that man has wisdom and not just emotional.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
You are in a vulnerable place, and you could be led astray if they say, "Oh, the cure to this is the strip club." It is not.
Yeah, no, it's not.
You need to be dealing with it in a different way, in a mature way, because you're about to be somebody's daddy.
That's right. That's right. You need to be preparing yourself mentally, spiritually, and physically for that. That's right.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. I want to put that in. Please continue. Please continue.
Okay, and so the next thing is, once that child in the early years is born, I'm not going to take a whole long time because I know we got a lot more stuff to cover, but in those early years, this is really important, Linal. Give your child the gift of a childhood. Please, give your child the gift of a childhood. A lot of times, parents will rob the child's childhood by making them the parent of all their other children.
Yeah. Yeah.
They will make them be the control person to take care of all their siblings. And while they go out and do their thing, they will make them their little boyfriend, my little man. They will make them they're that girl who loves daddy, his love object. Not sexually, not inappropriate. I'm talking about you get all your emotional needs met because they are so into you. You gotta be careful that you don't put the emotional needs of yourself upon your child to give you. You can also use that person as a tool for retaliation against baby mama, baby daddy, whatever the case may be. You can also use that child as an object to release your anger on in verbal abuse and projecting your own insecurities and things like that. That is robbing your child of their childhood. Let them grow up naturally and enjoy childhood. Because guess what? If they skip one of their natural childhood evolutions, they're going to come back to it. Heaven knows I don't want the husband that I'm with to go back and live his childhood irresponsibly, not even paying attention to the cause and reaction and consequences.
Yes. So love, part of what I hear you saying, and I just want to put out there, and you haven't said it overtly, but I want to put it out there overtly. What I hear you saying to couples, right? I mean, or to people who are looking to get into a relationship, is you have to be looking at it all. Man, I think you so fine. Like when I saw Pam, I was like, whoa. But then there's also okay, how was she raised? Who are her parents? And what impact have they had on her life to ensure that we are indeed compatible? I hear you saying that, not overtly, but in some way subjectively. Yeah, okay, got it.
Absolutely.
Okay, all right.
During those teen years, that's another life cycle. Teens can have a lot of foolishness built up in them. Don't sweat the small stuff. Choose your battles, you all. And don't see them as this is the complete future of them. If you look at them as this is what you're going to be forever, that's really not the correct perspective, because there's a lot of things going on in their brain. It's under construction until they're like 19 years old. So I'm not going to go into all that. But
and for men, until we're 25.
See?
and let me tell you, I as a man, I so believe that, because I didn't start maturing. I remember my 25th birthday is when I was like, I probably should handle, my relationships with females a little differently. Up until that, I didn't even have awareness. You hear me?
Right.
I didn't even, it was like I began to develop and say, that might not be a good thing. All the way up to now, that's not every man, but for most of us, man, we're not there till we're about 25. And then in our 30s is when we actually step into manhood.
Yes, absolutely.
And I'm just going to say that because I'm a man. I can say it. They might get on you. Oh, I can't believe she said that. But they can't talk about me. I'll defend it. They know. So I just want to put that out there. But let's wrap up parenting, because I know we have some significant stuff to talk about in terms of love and love life. Yes. And
here's the thing about parenting. I talked about parenting. Okay, so the parenting years, you want to make sure, this is a huge thing. You want to be able to shift into adult-parent relationships. A lot of times when your child becomes an adult, you still want to treat them like a child. And that's not the relationship you should be having. They are told to obey their parents when they're young. The Bible tells them to honor their parents when they're older. If they can't honor you because of what you've done, you have to honor the role of the parent. However, you cannot come in, you cannot run their houses, you cannot run their marriage, you cannot run, and you have the amount of care that you're doing. They're in your house, you can create rules. But if they're not living in your house, you cannot go in and decide that you are going to keep on ruling somebody else's life as an adult. And this is really important. This is super important. So I'm going to hit this real quick, but I wouldn't do it a service if I didn't.
Okay.
The image, because we have Thanksgiving coming up. Right. A lot of times you see family, right? You see the word family. On TV, you're going to see that. The people coming in around the table with the turkey and dress and everything. Now, that ain't everybody's picture that they see. When you hear the word family, or parent, or mother, or father, everybody don't see that picture. Some were raised by mental illness, parents with mental illness, alcohol addiction, gambling, sexual addiction, bipolar, schizophrenia, those kind of things, verbally abused, abandonment, all that, and trauma. Here's the thing. If that's the image of family that you see when we say the word family, there's a whole different dynamics to that parent-child relationship. I'm going to say them real quick. Do not create an emotional obligation to bond with trauma. I know these are all going to be like every one of you to spend time with, but we'll have to come back and do this again.
Yeah, we will.
But do not create an emotional obligation. Emotional obligation. I gotta spend time with them. I gotta connect with them. You can plan out whether you're gonna spend a piece of Thanksgiving, come in or out, or not show up at all. Because the next one is protect your peace and guard your heart. And so you have to protect your peace, because you are creating the 40% of your happiness that exists here on earth. And a lot of times the parents have been addicted or have not been able to be completely in control if they were not being medicated or it was untreated or something like that. If they've been treated and stuff, they can control that. They can work with you, and they will be able to be taught how to manage and help you manage. But if they have not, and they've refused services and things like that, you will find that you will be triggered back into those traumatic places in your life when you're in their presence, which is not good for you physically or emotionally. So you protect your peace and you guard your heart. And then you practice guilt-free self-love. When you are
say that one more time. Guilt-free self-love.
Guilt-free. And I'm going to tell you why. Because when you are in a relationship with parents where they have suffered from, say, addiction of drugs or something like that, or some other form of mental illness that has been really traumatizing, they will practice bonding through manipulation and giving and self-serving gifts that they place on you. It's always self-serving, though. So you will literally be conditioned to forget yourself, abandon your feelings, abandon your emotions, abandon your needs in order to serve them. Even in a marriage, even while you're growing up, even once you have children, you will be conditioned. And even if you want to get away, you will still cry or feel guilty. It's your mother. You will see the name mother or the name father and think, I'm supposed to because of the name. I said no emotional obligation to trauma.
Yeah.
Those people have a responsibility to heal or manage. Okay?
Beautiful. I love it. I love it. I love it. And what you're pointing to, love, and what I'm getting from this is when you say, and somebody put it here, protect your peace, guard your heart, and practice guilt-free self-love. What I'm getting from that is you're also protecting the relationship with that parent. Because if I'm being manipulated and allowing myself to be manipulated, then ultimately there's gonna be some ill feelings there.
Yeah.
As I'm leaving the house on Thanksgiving and I spent all day there and I cleaned up your dishes and cleaned up your house, I'm gonna be feeling a certain kind of way, and that's gonna hurt the relationship more than if I'm just honest with myself, practicing self-love, and coming from that clean, powerful place. Thank you so much for that. That was phenomenal. Wow, parenting. Man, okay. I'm gonna tell y'all right now, I'll be listening to this again. Just for me, right? Because I'm listening with a different ear right now to just move the conversation forward. But I'll be listening again, and I'm telling you all of us, we need to listen to this again. And love, I might be on. We might need to come back next week so we can really hit some of this. But let's go to love life, and let's take our time, because let me ask you now on the air. Can you come back next week? You pull that off?
I think I'll be in Atlanta.
Okay. All right. I was going to try to push it. And the reason why is because I want to take our time in love life. Because we have, from what I understand, 3 categories that you and I talked about on Friday. The first category is, those that are single. The second category, and each one of them have fundamentals, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So the second category is complicated situationship, which we know is a category. Right? And I learned that from you. Complicated situationship. I can't I can't take credit for that. That's love. And then number 3 breaks down into 2 parts. Those who are in relationship but not married. They're in a committed relationship, but they're not married. And then those who are married. Those who are married. So I already know that we got 30 minutes left. I don't want to rush through this. So where would you like to go first?
This is what I'm going to do in order to make sure that we get it. I'm going to give you 4 fundamentals, and then we'll break it up. 4 fundamentals that go category. Every category has to deal with, and then we can break it down. We can see how specifically it relates to singles, married and situations.
I like
okay?
it. I like it. Let's do it. Let's make it happen.
So here's the first one. You can only afford to be generous with your love when your love bank is full. You can only afford to be generous. If you come into the relationship with lack of self-love, with lack of love from your childhood, with lack of any of those things, guess what's going to end up happening? You're going to be stingy with your love. It's like having a whole bottle of water, but the bottle has holes in it. Once you get just a few drips and somebody says, I'm thirsty for your love, you can't satisfy them. And so what you have to do is make sure that you are filled up with your own self-love, and that's for singles, that's in married, that's in situationships. That's a whole, I'll talk about situationships. But in situationships, like you said, it's like when you say, oh, it's complicated. Oh, and y'all think, oh, it's complicated. Okay, that's the situationship. And so, but with any of these things, you have to be, the only way you can be generous, that means the only way that you can expend love, how does love show up? Through grace, through trust, through caring, through selflessness, all of that stuff. And unless you have it, you cannot give it.
Got it.
Okay?
Yeah.
That
makes sense. That makes sense. That just makes sense. Yeah. That's clear.
If your mate is your only source of love, they have too much power over your emotions.
Wow.
Yes, they have too much power. You are giving off way too much. If that's your only source of love, because that means you don't even love you. Because if I love me and you walk away and take your love away, I'm still loved because I love me.
How about
but
that?
A lot of times we don't start with the fundamentals, which is it has to start with self-love. That's why you even have to protect from familiar relationships, and you have to categorize a friendship. Why? Because in order to love me, in order to love you, I gotta love me. And if your behaviors impact my love for myself, I will never operate successfully in love relationships.
So love, can we do this? Because I knew, I didn't even have to ask you Friday, that we were going to talk about self-love. Because I know you can't talk about relationship and navigating relationships successfully without talking about self-love.
Yes.
I'd like to get from you your definition of self-love, and maybe even if you were going to give a starter toolkit to someone that's really, really struggling in this area, what would you share and what would you say?
If I was going to give a starter kit?
Yeah, like I struggle with self-love. I what is self-love? And if I struggle with self-love, how do I begin to build that muscle and build that area of love in my life?
So when we're talking about self-love, one of the things that you want to realize is that with self-love, it's the ability to look at yourself, look at your mistakes, look at the traumas of your life, and still love you. Look at your past and still give yourself grace. It's the ability to say I'm okay and not project everybody else's bad behavior onto yourself and to receive that.
And love, can I add this? That
Absolutely.
True love is unconditional.
Absolutely.
And so the first place we put true love is on ourselves, because we know the things we've done that we're not proud of. We know, the I guess how bad or how off we can be. We know those things, and you still deserve your own love. You still deserve
Absolutely.
it. Yeah.
And in fact, this is how to achieve self-love is one of the things you have to do is you have to go back and speak truth to your wounded self. So if the child was wounded and they saw the father's behavior or the mother's criticism or the mother's lack of attention as I'm not good enough, You have to, self-love is going back, speaking truth to yourself. Say, they have issues, but their issues did not have anything to do with me.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
You separate people's bad behaviors from placing labels on yourself. Because once you are traumatized, trauma distorts how you see yourself. Labels give you an excuse to treat people badly. What you will find is that people will treat themselves worse than you will ever treat them.
Wow.
They will say things about themselves. And so when they say, but this is what they'll do. They're not aware of it, so this is what they'll do. They will say, I'm not going to lie. I just want somebody to say something good about me. They do this and this. People will only be able to do that when it matches the content of your heart, when you have normalized that kind of talk. You may not want it. You may not like it. But if you listen to what you say about you, man, I'm just so stupid. I don't even understand. Like, I'm always this. Think about what you really say about yourself. Think about how you really feel about yourself. And then you will know whether you are practicing self-love or not.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And thank you for just taking a pause there and really making sure that we're clear. Because I know that self-love is just one of those critical areas.
It really is.
And if it doesn't exist, I mean, I don't care what relationship you get in, friendship, social acquaintances, definitely love life, you're going to suffer.
Let me just give you a real quick example of how self-love can be impacted. Say you were sexually abused, okay? So sexually abused as a child, which will elevate you up into into puberty much faster. Also, it strips your ability to place boundaries around yourself. So what ends up happening a lot of times when people are boys are sexually abused, they lose the sense of boundaries of themselves. They find that however they were groomed to do it, they will find that this is how I satisfy people. So a lot of times that would be followed by promiscuousness. And so then you become fast or labeled or whatever the case may be, or degraded by boys and stuff like that. Then you continue to live, and then you may you may have had a child or something. And so all of this has been impacting you for years. Now, you look back, you got your life together, you do not like the teenager who was promiscuous. You're ashamed of her. You don't love her. Let me tell you something. You cannot not love that teen. That teen was messed up by somebody else who had a perverted mindset, who took advantage of you. You got to go love the little girl who never told her parents. You got to hug her and nurture her in your mind and write a letter to her, say different things to her, however your therapist takes you through that. You got to go and give grace to the teenager. Do not blame her for your lack of being married today. Do not blame her for your failed marriage. Do not blame her for promiscuousness, for what people said about you in the church. You love every part of you so that you can now embrace the adult who is successful.
Beautiful. I love it. And love, I want to add something here, because you're right. Both men and women are sexually abused. I personally was sexually abused by an older girl when I was young, about 8 or 9 years old. She was a teenager. And here's the difference with men. We're never told that you need help. Like, that's when I would share that with friends, they'd be like, "Word, wow," like it was a good thing.
Yeah, that was an accomplishment.
But it did impact my sexual behavior. And the same thing you talked about in terms of boundaries, I had to learn that I am a king. I am a powerful being, and kings and powerful beings don't go spreading themselves around.
Absolutely.
Right? Not everybody can have Linal, right?
Absolutely.
And I had to go through therapy and get that healing. And there are a lot of men who are right there with me. There's some men right now who are listening, and I wanted to make sure I put this word out there for them, who have gone through the same thing. And that ability to go back and love yourself, right? Because for me, it was different.
Yes.
It was around the hurt that I perpetrated. So when I went through the healing, then all of a sudden I look back and said, oh man, how many women did I hurt because I was hurt and I didn't know I was hurt? And I had to go back, like you said, and still love that young man that was confused, that didn't know what he was doing, and forget. I couldn't do the work I do today if I hadn't forgiven myself. Because
here's the thing.
Yeah.
And I want to say this about what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
You learn how to have sexual experiences a lot of times from those. Because
That's
there's
right.
experience
That's
that
right.
happens of with that. If it is birthed, your sexual experiences are birthed in selfishness and secrecy, you will find yourself continuously being selfish and secret about what you're doing, which
That's right.
could be infidelity, whatever. And as boys, that's what you'll find. It's like, oh, this is what women want, because that older girl taught you this is what you want.
That's
the
right.
older man taught you what you would want, woman. That just give me some sex, and oh man, here's 50 cents. Whatever they said, you're good, or you wanted it too. Whatever they have conditioned your mind. If you don't go back and tell the child the truth, that all women don't want your sex for just sex, Linal, you will continue to treat even your wife like that.
That's right. That's right. And I had to get that healing. And and I'm gonna tell you something. It impacted my ability to commit. It impacted my perspective of marriage. It impacted so much. And when I got the healing, man, something shifted. And that coupled with coaching, that's what allowed me to go ahead and begin to build a solid relationship with Pam before we got married. So
here's the
so
thing,
important.
though, and this is a whole different experience, though, Linal, when a man is molested by a man, because this is what you have the potential to be, a whore, because you are constantly trying to prove yourself that you did not enjoy that experience. Your body is created to respond to it, whatever touches it. That's those parts of your body. So you are confused by, why did my body erect to a man touching me? Do I like this or whatever? If you hit my knee, I'm going to have a reflex and it's going to pop up. It don't matter what touches it. It don't matter who touches it, what gender. My body is created to respond that way. And so what you find is that they will become their way of avoiding not dealing with that is to become man whores who just say, yes, see, I still got another woman. I got another woman. I got another woman. Because they are so insecure as to what happened to me.
Wow. That makes so much sense. And so now I'm trying to prove to myself that I like women, and I'm doing that by hurting through the pain, by spreading that pain across the board.
Absolutely.
Wow. All right,
I need to share this with somebody, Linal, today. Don't be selfish on this broadcast. Y'all need to be sharing this.
Hey, this right here, this is next level. Because like even now, the fact that we're talking about this kind of pain, because let's be clear. There are so many of us that have experienced some kind of pain that's impacting our ability to be in relationship.
That's right.
And a lot of that has been sexual abuse. Some of it is emotional abuse.
Yeah.
And we bring that emotional abuse right into our relationship. We don't even know we're emotionally abusing our spouse.
You know, and it's the worst part, though, Linal, is that it's so prevalent in our community.
Yeah.
I think that's what hurts me the most.
Yeah.
Is because the levels of unhealed trauma that I sit and listen to that happen in these homes is unprecedented. You know, you can tap when the white kids, somebody shoots up in their schools. What do? They start bringing in therapists, people, all kind of stuff. Heal from this. We will watch people die daily on the streets, school buses, everywhere, and keep our kids from moving.
Yeah.
Not even they will die on our street and come wait 3 hours to come pick up the bloody body, and we still continue to go to school tomorrow. What? This is affecting us as a community. It's affecting us if you watch your mother beat down with black eyes and bloody lips. If you see her a gunshot, if you see all of this stuff. These things affect you. They traumatize you. You cannot go into a relationship and think that you're supposed to operate normally after experiencing these kind of traumas.
So love, let me say this. And just the people listening right now. If you want to live your best life, right? Because that's why people tune into this show. I say it every morning when we start off. You know, to live your best life. Murder mediocrity and live your best life. If you want to live your best life, you've got to get healing.
You got it.
And I mean, we talked about fundamentals. That's one of the fundamentals of relationship. healing. You have got to get healing. Period.
That's right.
Yeah, you've got to get healing. All right, let's continue. I think we made our point. I think we made our point there.
And here's another one. This is specifically for the single. You can desire a mate, but you can't need a mate. You can desire one, you just can't need one. Okay?
Woo! Woo! Yeah, wants and needs. It's so much there. Go ahead and unpack that for us, love.
Let me tell you something. I will tell you the foundation. Here's the foundation of the fight between black men and black women. Is that black women think they need a mate. Not all of them. Trust me, not all of them. But they have gone from desiring a mate to needing a mate. And they resent the black man who will not get in line and give them their needs. They resent the black man who holds that much power over them to make their happiness happen, or their dreams come true, or their needs happen. They resent that you have that much power over them where you can go from person to person and leave that black woman hanging. And therefore, there is an underlying resentment that needs to be dealt with.
Wow. I love that. And again, I mean, we just kind of put a period on the last little piece with healing. And again, the necessity for healing. Because I'm guessing, love, that what you would say is the only way to come out of that category of I need a man is you have to go back and find out, where did you learn that? Where did you kind of mark that on your life and get the healing you need, so that way it goes from need to just desire.
Right. And here's the thing. Some kind of way you have fooled yourself into believing that marriage is actually a key to your happiness, which this is what science tells you. To your happiness when it comes to being married. You can feel like, oh, when I get married, I'm going to be so happy. I'm going to do this. I'm going to have this. I'm going to have that. Marriage happiness is the same as kind of like having a medication where you, for a while, you will say it's a painkiller. For a while, the painkiller actually is doing the job. It's relieving that pain.
Yeah.
But pretty soon, your body adjusts itself, and that painkiller is no longer effective. You have to get something stronger, okay?
Yep.
That's what happens to happiness. Your body and your brain, what it does is this. And this is science. For about 2 years max, it looks like that little COVID curve. It goes up, it peaks, and it comes back down, and within 2 years, you are regulated at the same level of happiness that you were as a single.
Wow.
This is what happens.
Whoa.
So when you get to that place of you're back regulated to that single place, you know what you'll do? You'll start reaching back and say, why am I not happy right now in this relationship? They don't give me flowers like they used to.
So
we
you
don't date like we used to.
You start to put it on the other person?
There we go.
There
we go. They change. They're not. You start thinking it's their behavior that caused this. That the adrenaline rush that you got from them dates and from the flowers and all that stuff is the reason that you are not feeling the same way when your body is going to regulate anyway. That's why you cannot build a relationship on your emotions. You have to be thinking long-term legacy. You have to think character.
Wow. And part of what I'm taking from this, love, is that if I don't know how to make Linal happy, Pam is in trouble. Because if I don't know how to make myself happy, she could be the best wife in the world, and I'll be like, yeah, but that's not enough.
And the statistics, if you piece it all this whole thing together, is 50-40-10, Linal. That's the stat.
Break that down.
50 is your DNA.
Right.
50% of your happiness is your DNA. 40% of your happiness is what you have what you have experienced while you've been on this earth, internal. So the DNA You got to go back and get healed from that past that your parents' pain brought into you. 40% is what you've experienced in your childhood, in your teen years, and up until now. 10% is COVID, your husband, the election, all of that. 10% of it affects your happiness. 10.
Wow. So 2020 didn't do it.
No, 2020 didn't do it. It did 10% of it.
It did 10% of it, but you got 90% that you can control.
Thank you.
Yeah, or 40% that you can control.
Absolutely.
That's right. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. So,
and if you get healed from Linal, if you get healed from the 50%, you still have to deal with what your parents brought into you. You understand? You still get to heal that.
Yeah.
So if your parents were traumatized, and this is why they were self-medicating with alcohol, and the result was that this is what you did and you experienced from their DNA, then you still have to heal from that.
Got it. All right, so we got about 10 minutes. And I think we have, one more fundamental left?
The one that we're talking about now is the one is your never-ending loop of self-talk affects what you say to others. Okay, that never-ending loop of self-talk.
Okay. So before we do that, let's do a recap of the first three, and then let's dive into that fourth fundamental. You
can only be afford to be generous with your love when your love bank is full. Number 2. If your mate is your only source of love, then you give them way too much power over your emotions. If number 3 is you can desire a mate, but you cannot need a mate. And number 4 is your never-ending loop of self-talk affects what you say to others. If your self-loop is victimization, they don't do me right, they don't do this, they don't do this, I've worked so hard, your thought is 90% of your relationship. It happens in your mind.
Wow.
And it's not about emotions, it's mind. What you say to yourself, how you label things, how you perceive it. Crisis is not crisis because it's a crisis. It's crisis because of how you perceive it. And so for Hiroshima, it was a crisis for some and a victory for others, okay? Yesterday was a crisis for some and a victory for others. It's all about perception. It's a perception.
All about perception.
If all you fill your loop up with was resentment about what your spouse or black men or black women or whoever is doing to you, and that's what you feel, that's how you are going to affect how you speak to them, how you talk to them, how you relate to them, how you receive them.
So, love, can I share an example to really bring this to life? So there's a concept that I use in coaching when I'm training. And what I say is that we all wear different sunglasses, right? So think about you have on a blue pair, I have on a red pair, and we walk outside and look at the sun, right? Well, when you look at the sun with your blue pair, you say, oh, well, look, Linal, the sun is green. And then I look up and I say, well, hold on now, because I got the red sun pair on. I said, now, love, you right on a lot of things, but that sun is orange. And two different perspectives. And what I hear you saying is that whatever my self-talk is painting my lens. And so even if the relationship is a good relationship, if my self-talk is negative, if I got a good man or I got a good woman, right? If my self-talk is negative, there's nothing that person can do in that relationship to make me believe that this is a good relationship until I begin to become aware and monitor my own self-talk. That's what I hear.
You have heard 100% correct, but let me add another layer to this, Linal.
Okay.
What happens is this. Whatever path you see, like you said you had the green glasses on, however you looking through those green glasses, even when you take them off, you will see green.
Ooh. So tell me more. Tell me more.
This means this. Once your brain has been focused on the negative of the person, it will form grooves and it will automatically go, it's like a bowling alley. It will go, if you just throw it out there, like you just start thinking, it will automatically go into the gutter of easily, because it's not going to hit those pins in the center. It's going to automatically be programmed to go straight into the negative. So you will create a habit. Listen to me, a habit of thinking negative until you intentionally break the habit of negativity and begin to say, let me pay attention and see the goodness of my spouse. Goodness can be happening all around you. You will not see it. Why? Because you have created a habit of looking at the negative.
Wow. And we learned that from neuroscience, and we also learned in neuroscience that we can remap our brains with intention.
Absolutely.
So if I'm like, I'm going to bring positivity to this relationship, and I'm practicing that, and I'm reminding myself, and I print and post it in my space, and I get iPhone reminders, then I can remap my brain to begin seeing my relationship differently. But it takes practice, and it takes intention, and that's hard work.
But let me tell you one, and then I'm going to add one more thing to your analogy because I love it. One other thing is this. If your glasses are green and the other person's glasses are blue, guess what's going to end up happening? We will treat it like we treat races, cultures. We will fear it. Because remember the basis of friendship. We went all the way, we're going to take us right back to the friendship. We relate and we become close because people share our like values and goals. Their relatability confirming our beliefs. So now if I believe something is the sky is green and you are telling me the sky is blue, I'm going to fear you. I'm going to argue with you. I'm going to be not safe with you because I'm going to think, what are you saying? What are you saying? You don't understand me because I'm seeing green, and so you just rejected me.
I would just be like, you know what? She don't even know what she's talking about, you know.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, as a
then
married,
you start disrespecting that person because then you start looking at them like you just, oh my God, they just dumb. I don't understand them. I can't relate. And then somebody else walks up to you and say, do you love that beautiful green sky? And guess what you say?
What's your name?
So now, what does that open the door for? Infidelity. Because somebody, you will connect again with somebody who sees it green like you.
Wow. And by the way, there's likely a reason you were attracted to the person that saw it a different way initially.
Hey, come on now.
Yeah, but we forget why we got into that relationship and the benefits that they bring when it gets real. I love it.
And what we need to do, the solution of that is, it's okay if some people don't see what you see. That does not mean that you don't see what you see, because we all are seeing through our own experiences. But as long as you are okay and you love the person who sees it this way, as long as it's not off, you know what I'm saying, or it's damaging to somebody, it's okay to disagree. And you can appreciate it, just like you can appreciate somebody who is not your same race and love them.
So, love, we have a few minutes left. I'm curious. I know in terms of looking at these different categories, there's still more work to do. But you have laid out the 4 fundamentals that regardless of what category we are in our love lives, we can use these categories to move us forward. And so I want to think.
This is the only one I want to just say. I need to say the ending of this. The situationship. This is what I'm going to say to you about the situationship. Situationship is this. If you know that you desire a relationship that is a committed relationship, or you know that you are on the path to marriage and you settle for somebody who says, I'm not really, interested in a relationship right now, or I'm not really trying to get married, and you still continue to be love partners or sex partners with that person, and you abandon yourself, you are setting yourself up for disaster. You are setting yourself up for pain. You don't have some kind of magic potion where you can change somebody's desire. Listen to people if they say they don't want a relationship. If you do want a relationship, stay true to yourself, self-love, and get out that relationship.
Okay, I'm just going to say this because I've been a perpetrator of situationship in the past. Okay. And now, from the lens I have now looking back, what I realized is I was able to spot women who needed healing. And I used their need for healing for my own benefit.
Yep.
Right? I did that.
Yeah.
Right? And you and I have talked about having some of these real conversations with ladies in the future.
Yes.
So they can watch out for that. But I used it. And so anybody, men included, because there's some men who are in situationships. They doling out money and she come and go and you know your feelings are hurt when she leaves. You didn't get no love, no nothing. And it's complicated and you find yourself being faithful to somebody that's not faithful to you. It works both ways.
Yes.
You need healing.
That's right.
You need healing.
And you have abandoned yourself. That's not self-love.
Yep. So, beautiful. Well, love, once again, I mean, this went so fast. How can people find you?
And I see my daughter Tiffany. She is posting on my behalf all over.
Yes,
it's
she
telling
is.
you if you want coaching, if you want individual sessions. You go to lovemcpherson.com. You can set up an appointment there for a initial appointment, and then you can follow some follow-up sessions and packages that you can order online. You can also please follow me on Instagram and Facebook. Instagram is love_McPherson. I think it's on the screen right now.
It is.
Some ways that you can reach me. And so make sure you share this with people, share how they can reach me, all of that good stuff.
Love, real quick, just 30 seconds. Talk about the workplace because I know you're booked out through March of next year. And the workplace is where people can get to you right away. Just give us 30 seconds. How do they find the workplace?
If you enjoyed this session today, you will love the workplace. I do this live every single Tuesday. You will see me, you will talk to me, you will ask questions. I see some questions here that I was not able to get to on the workplace in real time. You could ask me that question and I would get to it right there. Tiffany will be sitting right beside me telling me, Mom, somebody just said,
20 seconds.
I have these type of subjects. And so you want to join the workplace at www.dothework.today, not .com, dothework.today. You got to do the work today. Tiffany put up the workplace, and you all look on this thing where you can make sure you go to that website, sign up for every Tuesday at 8 o'clock. If you can't come live, we still send it every single week. We send access to the broadcast.
All right, love, we got to go. Thank you so much. I love you. I love your family. Tell Tiffany, thank you so much. Tony, you got an amazing wife. You've been listening to Inspirational Perspective. My name is Linal Harris. I'm your host and life coach. Be sure to tune in every Sunday, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., where we do the best we can to help you live the best life possible. Next up, Ernesto Borges of the Borges Report. You guys have a blessed Sunday. God bless you.
The talk of Chicago and the voice
Woo!
of the nation.
Hey, that's why I love having love
Joe
on.
Biden in
Guys, that was phenomenal. Please share this stream. This right here, it's not about me. It's not about love. This is about healing. This is about passing out the information people need to properly live the fundamentals of their lives. That's what I'm focused on. Next week, since I can't get love, we're going to go ahead and move to work and money. You don't want to miss next week's segment. I'll be having guests on. We're going to be covering. I think I may mix it up a little bit and just focus on work, and then we go to money. Either way, you wanna join. Love you guys. Please share the stream. Talk to you next week.